Welcome back, everybody. Fighters Fury continues here on 790 The Ticket. Let's get into a little bit more of the UFC 254 card. Then I want to talk about what now happens with the lightweight title picture. First, the co-main event: Robert Whittaker versus Jared Cannonier. I really enjoyed this fight. I thought it was a really fun bout. Jared Cannonier, I really wanted him to get this win because, first of all, you had the call out with Izzy, so I think that would. I always like when things can the puzzle can fit that cleanly, and you would have been able to get that title fight. But Robert Whittaker just showed himself to continue to be such a complete badass in the sport. His versatility, his striking, his speed, his defense, the unorthodox style that he kind of strikes you at with his footwork, with the way he holds his hands, all that type of stuff. He's just a really impressive fighter. Cannonier is tough as hell. The move that he's had to come all the way down from heavyweight to be this good at middleweight is very impressive. The first go of it in the first round, Cannonier was really lighting up Robert Whittaker with these massive leg kicks, but Whittaker was getting the best of him, probably up top. He was hitting him with the hands, big time jab, hit him with the big time right hand that stumbled him up a little bit. I actually gave Cannonier the slight edge with the damage that he was doing with the leg kicks. I just thought that he was doing just enough. I did see that a lot of people gave the first round to Robert Whittaker, so I don't have a problem if you did, because I know that most people had going into round three. Most people had Whittaker up 2-0. 2 was a very clear Whittaker round. His hands were just lightning fast. Jared Cannonier looked a little bit bewildered about what to do, what his counter would be, how he could find himself back into this thing. So most people, I think, probably had it 2-0. Robert Whittaker going in. I still had it 1. I had it 1-1. And then in the third round, business picked up even more because Robert Whittaker hit him with a head kick that just put Jared Cannonier on absolute crazy legs, put him down on the canvas. It looked like it was about to be it. Somehow he's able to tie up Robert Whittaker and survive, get back onto his feet, hit him with a big shot. Whittaker says that, maybe it oversold a little bit with how bad that he was hurt, but it looked hurt. Either way, Cannonier, seemed like he was back in the fight with about 90 seconds left. They get tied up in the clinch. Whittaker's able to run out the clock and ends up with a unanimous decision, 29-28 on all scorecards. So really great performance by Robert Whittaker to cement himself back at the middleweight rankings. To me, there's not really a controversy here, though. Some people were wondering, oh, well, do you do Izzy versus Robert Whittaker that quick? Is it too soon to have that rematch? It really doesn't matter. I mean, Robert, first of all, Jared Cannonier was the guy that the champion called out. He called him out and said that if you are impressive, I'm going to give you a title fight. Robert Whittaker handled him pretty thoroughly. Now has 2 wins in the span of, we're talking 3-4 months here, against highly contested guys. The title fight was a year ago. They probably won't be fighting again until like January, so I think that's plenty of time. Robert Whittaker is what his lone blemish since 2014 is losing to Izzy. And Izzy to me is at this point right now where maybe it doesn't excite him that much because he's looking to take out all the super fights, but there's not really unless you're telling me he's going to fight John Jones. We had Chael Sonnen on the show this week, and I asked Chael, what is he more into? Is he more into John Jones or fighting at heavyweight, or is he more into style bender? And he said, no, obviously the style bender fight is the fight to make, but it doesn't seem like that's on course right now. So if that is the case, then I believe, Izzy said something to the effect that he wants to reign over his division and be the guy. Well, this is the guy right now. Robert Whittaker fought Yoel Romero twice, and that's with one where it was and that was I'm sure one where he didn't want to probably run it back because of how close he contended. And so the argument could be, well, Stylebender put it on him, beat him in 2 rounds. Yeah, it's fine, but like he's got a good enough resume where he should get another crack at it. I think. I don't think it should be that much controversy. Even with Jack Hermanson and his upcoming fights, like Robert Whittaker beat the guy that the champ called out, beat him pretty soundly, is a former champion. You have that oceanic rivalry as well. I really don't think that this is much of a controversy at all. I feel like Robert Whittaker deserves to get another crack at the title. Heavyweight, we had Alexander Volkov beating Walt Harris, hit him with a nasty front kick to his body, made it Walt Harris wilt, and Volkov looked really good. Got himself a TKO victory in the second round. Phil Hawes versus Jacob Malkoun. Phil Hawes was shouting out, representing Deerfield Beach. So he had a great knockout victory. They were talking about Kuhn up, a training partner of Robert Whittaker, and nobody can find him fights and all this type of stuff. So you're like, oh, all right, let's see what he's got. And what he had was 18 seconds in the octagon because Phil Hawes just put it on him. Really, really great showing by him. Lauren Murphy probably cementing herself as a future title contender. She got herself a rear naked choke win in the second round over Lilia Sharkova. Kind of dominated all facets of this. She looked really, really good. So not time to wrap it up yet for the 37-year-old. And Magomed Ankalaev beating Ian Kutalaba, beat him with a nasty knockout punch and ended all controversy that was from the first one. So, that was that with their fight. Prelims was really good too. Tai Tuivasa got a big knockout win over Stefan Struve in the first round with 1 tick left. Tried to do the shoey. There was no beer. That was unfortunate for the Australian. He was able to do it with the Nuck boys in the back, but Stefan Struve, the skyscraper, he fell hard and even took a kick in the head afterwards too, which was tough. But Tai Tuivasa got himself a big time win because he was on a 3-fight losing streak. So the shoey man, he is back in the win column. Casey Kenny and Nathaniel Wood was an absolute dynamite show. These guys went back and forth. Great striking, high pace between both of them. It was a really, really great fight. Ended up getting fight of the night. And I know that there was a miss on this one, but that theoretically that division, that 135 division, is really, really good. Shavkat Rakhmonov from Kazakhstan. He submitted Alex Cowboy Oliveira with a guillotine choke. Looking great for Kazakhstan. Great week for Kazakhstan. Borat 2 out, and Shavkat Rakhmonov getting himself a big time victory, and he looked good. And that was the big highlight of it. Sam Alvey and Da Un Jung was a split, decent fight. Nothing to write home about, but it was a really, really good card. Fun night. Your bonuses went to Magomed Ankalaev. He got a 50K bonus. Khabib got 50K. And then Kenny and Nathaniel Wood was fight of the night. So that was your wrap up from there. The big thing. All right, so the big fallout of this, I mentioned what I think should happen with the middleweight title. I don't even think that's that controversial at all. I feel like that's pretty clear on what should happen with that. 155. Okay, so let's say Nurmagomedov is actually done and he is going to walk away, and there's this big opening at 155. What should happen? So we have one fight that's set, and that is Conor McGregor taking on Dustin Poirier, or it's set in theory. I don't think they've officially announced it yet, but those guys are supposed to fight. Justin Gaethje, he loses, but he was the interim champion, even if he didn't want to acknowledge it going into this fight. Tony Ferguson's without a dance partner. You throw Michael Chandler into the mix, and of course you have Dan Hangman, but he did just lose to Dustin Poirier. So I think he's a little bit on the outside looking in. So where do we go from here? Okay. I truly feel this. One, everybody, there was a big theme after the broadcast that Justin Gaethje should be right in the mix for the next championship fight. I don't believe that. A couple reasons. One, he got dealt with by Khabib. That was his title fight. So just because you were interim champ going in there and you get beat like that, if you get dealt with, if you have a really good fight and you're showing of being in the mix, I'll get it. Put him right back in the front of the line and you put him there. But he got worked by Nurmagomedov. He got outstruck by him. He got submitted very quickly by him. So I don't think that there's this natural need to put Justin Gaethje right back into the mix for the title fight. That's not to say he has to go to the back of the line. I think he has to go get a win. I don't think that you necessarily have to have him in the championship fight. I do think that Dustin Poirier has to be there. Dustin Poirier has the most recent top 5 win. If we're looking at it, Justin lost, Tony lost. Conor has a win, but it's over Cowboy at 170. Ergo, I think that Dustin Poirier, who also himself is a former lightweight champion, and honestly had a better performance against Nurmagomedov than Justin did. Had Khabib at least in a guillotine and nearly put him away. To me, he bar none has to be in the title fight. Now, what's going to make people nutty is, okay, should the title fight be Conor versus Dustin? I don't think it's crazy to say that it is. Dustin beat Justin Gaethje. I don't think that there's this need to have to pit them up against each other to prove that Dustin deserves the interim championship. He beat him. You could do it again. I wouldn't have a huge problem with it, but I don't think that there's this need for Justin to get right to the front of the line. Does he have to fight Tony Ferguson again? I don't know. I mean, like he beat him pretty soundly too. So if I were Justin Gaethje, I wouldn't necessarily want that matchup either. So Tony is left, it feels like a little bit without a dance partner here. Then you have the Michael Chandler factor into all this. He's the new guy. I don't necessarily think he should be in the running for it. So I really think that interim title fight has to go 2 ways. I think it needs to go Conor versus, I think it has to go Dustin Poirier for sure deserves to be in there if we're talking about a interim title fight for 155. It needs to either be against Justin or it needs to be against Conor. And I really feel like with Justin losing the way that he did, I'm fine with Conor getting the shot. Him and Dustin are both coming off of wins. Even with Conor's being at 170 pounds because it was, they didn't want to lose weight against Cowboy. There's been talk of these guys. I'm glad that it got put to bed this week, this idea that they should fight at 170. That made no sense to me. And so it's not going to be perfect because I think the rest of the guys are going to be left out in the cold. Honestly, the way I think you could probably work this is I think you should probably do. I know there was talk this week when we had Chael on the show. He said that he talked to Tony, and Tony said that they want him to fight Chandler. And I would like to see Chandler in the mix for this type of thing, and I would like to see Chandler either fight Justin or Chandler fight Tony. One of those two is going to be left out in the cold and going to be pissed, obviously. But Dustin Poirier definitely deserves it. And if Dustin beats Conor McGregor, I think that's a worthy fight to be lightweight champion. And if Conor wins and he's the champ again, obviously the UFC is going to like that again. I know people may not like that because it feels like you're giving preferential treatment to Conor McGregor, and he's on the outs with a lot of hardcore fans right now. People, are on the hate Conor tour and all that type of stuff. But to me, you're in this division right now that is very talented, but left with a bit of a void because there is no Khabib fight. And, to me, I think that the fight has to be Dustin Poirier. He beat Dan Hooker. That's his last win. It was a top 5 quality opponent. He solidified himself as the guy. Khabib was even saying, even though he said in the weeks that he choked out Conor and Dustin and he's not interested in the fight, fine, I get that. But he did also acknowledge in the lead up to this that Dustin is the guy. And so, for me, he for sure has to be there. And I feel like him versus Conor is a worthy interim title fight. It's already made. You can kick off the year with it. I think it's a good matchup to do it. And then, whomever you want to put Michael Chandler with there, I'm fine with either one of them. I think that if Michael is able to go beat Justin or go beat Tony, I think those will probably will definitely cement him as a top 5 guy. And it's fresh either way. I think that it's a good mix for either one of those guys to be in there. So that's what I would do with that entire landscape of the 155 division. Dustin has to be in there, bar none. This idea that Justin Gaethje was the interim champion, so he deserves an automatic bid, that doesn't jive with me. He got dealt with, and it's not to say that I think he needs to go all the way back. I just think he needs to get a win. I think you lose the way he did to Khabib, just like Dustin did. Dustin had to go get a win. Even Conor got dealt the way he did by Khabib. He had to go get a win. So for me, I think that Justin Gaethje has to go get a win, and then he's back. For Michael Chandler, he's brand new. He's the new kid on the block. Maybe if Khabib was still around, there'd still be an argument for him because he's a new challenge. He's in the division and all that. But, for me, he needs to go get a win. Tony needs to go get a win. And if anything, Tony had the longest win streak out of anybody. If anybody probably needs to win the least, it's probably Tony. But, the way his career's gone, nothing's gone easy for him. So he's going to probably have to go get a win to solidify himself. Look, there's going to be a lot of fun options. It sucks that Khabib is gone. It sucks that they're at that part of the division where they got to scramble and figure this all out. But I do think that the one good thing is there's a lot of fun matchups. There's a lot of talented guys, and I do think that whoever does come out on top is going to be a fun champion. There's going to be still a lot of fun matchups, a lot of great trash talk, all that type of stuff. So I still think 155 is going to be in a good place, but I think it's silly to start off a new era without having guys guys come in there, fight for the title off wins. If you got dealt with by Khabib, but look, there's no shame in it. Basically, everybody in the division that's not Tony Ferguson got dealt with by the guy. But just because you were interim champ, I don't think you get this Willy Wonka ticket to the top. You had your chance. Like, that is what the interim title is for. The interim title is to solidify your status as I got a shot at the title, or you're the guy if the guy can't go on anymore. But if you lose to the guy, once you are interim champion and you fight the champion, it doesn't mean anything. You're not anything. And Justin did a great job of acknowledging that entire time. He didn't want the fake belt. He didn't want the interim belt. So I don't think he gets this treatment of, he gets to automatically be number one contender. No, he lost. He lost quick, and now he's going to be good enough to probably go cement himself back in contender status.